UFC 305 is this weekend. I'm pretty pumped for the card. Not because the card is balanced, but the main event is a pretty good one, especially when there's beef between the fighters, which is Israel Adesanya and Dricus Du Plessis, with Dricus Du Plessis being the champion against Adesanya the challenger. We didn't expect to see this, but Adesanya lost to Strickland, and Du Plessis beat Strickland, which is the common opponent between the two, and that's kind of where we're going to start this video.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this fight as well. I think Adesanya was being an absolute diva in the whole entire beef, and I think Adesanya was trying to grasp at straws, essentially creating something out of nothing, because all Du Plessis said was he was the African champion because he trains out of Africa and lives in Africa. But of course, we know Adesanya is going to find some offense from that and then drag Ngannou and Usman in there. But the fight will be very interesting, especially because Adesanya has been gone for a little while. And although Du Plessis doesn't have the greatest technique and hasn't looked incredibly fantastic, except for that Whitaker fight because he looked awesome in that fight, he's undefeated in the UFC, and no one seems to have an answer for him.
Yeah, with Adesanya, he likes to create hate within fights. He did it with Pereira. Now he loves Pereira because everybody else does. He did it with Costa. He did it with Whitaker. He did it with Strickland. He did it with everybody. And with Adesanya's fight against Strickland, I did feel like it was very bad for him going into that fight with the hate he created, because, MMA Guru started this dog thing with Adesanya, which kind of got in his head. And then Strickland, I'm sure Adesanya was afraid of the press conference the whole time, but when, Strickland was so good with his striking defense that it really bothered Adesanya. It was a clear 49-46, and Strickland showed that, with range, Adesanya typically controls the range. If you're going forward on Adesanya, you're able to block the leg kicks, you can hurt him.
Yeah, the main thing for me in the Adesanya-Strickland fight, which was so crazy because I was so pumped that Adesanya lost. And we also actually made a bet on that. We didn't actually think Strickland was going to win, but we actually made a bet and we actually won that bet. But the thing with the Strickland-Adesanya fight for me was Adesanya just couldn't hit him. And I think Adesanya kept backing up because he just could not hit the guy. It almost seemed like Paulo Costa had the same issue as well. Both constantly backing up. They both just couldn't hit him. The leg kicks, Strickland has a kind of a weird leg kick defense, but he's able to check him, and he's able to check the majority of them or get out of the way. And then the boxing with Adesanya was just incredible, and Adesanya just couldn't land a strike on him, and I think that was the biggest difference in that fight.
Yeah, and then with the Du Plessis fight, so obviously Du Plessis fought Strickland after he just beat Adesanya. A lot of people think that Strickland won because Strickland has such a big fan base, but we have a video on our channel after the fight that we believe that Du Plessis won the fight. If you look at these big MMA analysts like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson agree with us that Du Plessis won the fight, because I've noticed with the MMA community in general, they love to...
I think the Weasel also said that, Du Plessis, and he actually looks at the fights.
He looks at the fights strike by strike, but a lot of people in the MMA community love to count blocked shots as some kind of strike. If I go on my shell...
Yeah, arm shots, yeah.
And then someone hits me on the arm, they count that as a strike landed. It's like, no, I blocked the shot. So a lot of people like to count that. But in that fight, Du Plessis, unlike Adesanya, was landing. And I thought, honestly, it wasn't going to be that close. Strickland showed a lot of improvement in that fight compared to what I thought he was going to come out and do. But Du Plessis showed how good he is on the feet. And Strickland's takedown defense is very good. And he couldn't really... Du Plessis could not get him down and hold him down if he even got him down. And I think that Du Plessis having the striking, which he showed in the Strickland fight, as well as the ability to get him down, which is Adesanya, could be massive. I mean, Du Plessis took down Whitaker.
Yeah, and the striking for Du Plessis, let's be honest, is not the most textbook striking, but he did far better against Strickland than Adesanya did. And maybe that sloppy striking really does work. And the unorthodox striking, it does confuse the fighters a little bit. It is a little bit weird to fight. It's almost like Tony Ferguson for a little bit. Kind of strange to fight. Me and him have sparred some certain people. I'd even say he's sometimes unorthodox for me, and sometimes I have some problems with it. But the unorthodox fighters can be a hard puzzle to solve. And with Strickland, Du Plessis was able to back him up, which is the direct opposite of Adesanya, who was being constantly backed up. And Du Plessis was putting the pressure on him. And, the same thing's going to be applied to the Adesanya fight. And going backwards can be very fatiguing.
Yeah, and Du Plessis actually has a kickboxing background. A lot of people don't know that. Du Plessis almost submitted Whitaker. But a thing that my brother and I have noticed throughout the 2-year, I don't know how long the beef has been going on between the two fighters, is that Du Plessis has been analyzing and preparing for this fight against Adesanya for years. And my brother was even telling me, Du Plessis was talking about Adesanya. I know what his face looks like when he's hurt. I know when he does this. I know where he does this.
Yeah, he's been studying him for years.
Yeah,
and those little details, man. A big reason why we thought Topuria was going to win. The little details, man, with the mindset can make a big difference in the fights.
Yeah, and John Jones is known for his ability to study fighters, and Du Plessis seems that we're like one of those kind of people. And if not, this is a fight that it applies to. He knows Adesanya. I struggle to think of a way Adesanya's going to win. Can he knock out Du Plessis? I mean, Adesanya's a good kickboxer, so maybe. But Du Plessis fights going forward a lot. And Strickland showed that if you get Adesanya going backwards, he's not going to be able to land the leg kicks very well. He's going to struggle to land any boxing as well. And Du Plessis kind of has that, you said it's not very textbook. He kind of has that aggression kind of fighting, like throw technique out the window, just go at him. And I think that's a style that Adesanya will struggle with, especially compared to like with Du Plessis' kickboxing background. I think, yeah, Adesanya will struggle with it.
Yeah, I think Du Plessis will win as well. We kind of mentioned this earlier. Big thing is the mindset. Adesanya has this weird mindset. I mean, we both think Adesanya is super cringe, and it's almost like he has to hype himself up in a very weird way.
He has to hate other fighter for some random reason.
Yeah, it's like he has a weird mindset. But no, I believe Du Plessis is going to win, not just because of the mindset, but I think the matchup is good for him. Adesanya's been gone for a while. I think Adesanya's best chance is to try and keep distance, but I just don't see that those leg kicks and the jab and range really doing much to Du Plessis. I think Du Plessis' unorthodox style is going to be tough for Adesanya because it's not going to be a standard kickboxing fight. Some people might disagree with me on this one, but I thought that Du Plessis would be the guy in the middleweight division that would have given Pereira the biggest issue. I think Du Plessis, just him being able to mix it up. I remember hearing him in an interview saying that, with Adesanya, the way you beat him is you don't go kickboxing, you don't go points with him because you lose. You have to bring a dogfight to him. And I think if he brings a dogfight to Adesanya, just constantly taking takedowns, shooting takedowns, even going in a little recklessly sometimes and just getting into some big exchanges, I see Du Plessis winning the fight. And I see Du Plessis finishing him. And some people might disagree with that one, but I think Du Plessis, I think he has 21 wins. I think he only has 2 that are not finishes. I think it was Strickland, and then I think the other one against Brad Tavares is who it was.
Yeah, and Du Plessis, I think he said he'll strangle. I think he said what he said. Maybe I'm just saying that. Maybe I want Du Plessis to strangle him. Who knows? But if he gets him on the ground, Whitaker wasn't able to hold him there. A lot of people could not deal with Adesanya's range and couldn't get in to get the takedown. I think that Du Plessis has the worst opponent for Adesanya in terms of take him down and submit him. And I think it's very possible, and I agree with you. I think it could be a finish for Du Plessis on Adesanya. I think Adesanya's time is probably done. We know the odds of a fighter re-getting their belt, which he did against Pereira, but doing it again.
That fight wasn't even going well, in my opinion, until the finish.
And then it's just unlikely that he's going to get his belt back from a statistical standpoint. But also, we both analyzed the 2 fighters. I think Du Plessis will win the fight and still.